NoFap changed a lot of men's lives. Better focus, more energy, more discipline, more drive. I'm not here to argue against that. But there's a side of the NoFap conversation that nobody in that community wants to talk about. A trap that catches men who are doing everything right, hitting their streaks, proud of their numbers, and still going nowhere. In fact, some of them are worse off than when they started. Not because NoFap is wrong, but because they made one critical mistake. They removed something and replaced it with nothing. Today, I'm breaking down the dark side of NoFap that nobody talks about. Not to tear it down, but to make sure that if you're doing it, you're actually doing it right. Smash like, subscribe for more Sigma mindset content, and let's get into it. First, let's be clear about what NoFap actually is at its core. It's impulse control. The decision to stop letting a cheap, easy dopamine hit dictate your behavior. That's powerful, that matters. Training yourself to resist instant gratification is one of the most important things a man can do in a world designed to make you weak and dependent. But here's where men go wrong. They treat the streak as the goal. Day 30, day 60, day 90. The number becomes the identity, the community becomes the bubble, the discipline becomes the entire personality. And while they're busy counting days, their life stays exactly the same. No new skills, no physical progress, no financial growth, no deeper relationships. Just a streak and a lot of pride about it in an online forum. That's not transformation, that's just a different distraction. Problem 1, removing a habit without replacing it creates a vacuum, and vacuums get filled with something worse. This is basic behavioral psychology. Habits don't disappear when you stop them. The neural pathway that drove them, the trigger, the craving, the reward loop, that's still there. If you don't replace it consciously, your brain will replace it on its own. With social media, with binge eating, with endless YouTube, with other forms of the same escape dressed in different clothes. Men on long streaks who haven't replaced the habit often find themselves more anxious, more restless, more irritable, not less. Because the urge didn't go away, it just has nowhere to go. The fix isn't willpower alone, it's substitution. When the urge hits, you need somewhere to redirect that energy. The gym, a cold shower, a skill you're building, a project you're working on. The energy NoFap gives you is real, but raw energy with no direction is just chaos. You don't just stop, you redirect. Problem 2, the streak becomes the identity, and that's a fragile place to live. Here's something worth sitting with. If your entire sense of self-worth is tied to a number, what happens when the number resets? For a lot of men, a relapse doesn't just end a streak. It ends their motivation entirely. It confirms their worst belief about themselves. It sends them into a spiral that takes weeks to recover from. And the reason that happens is because they built their identity on the streak instead of on the behavior. There's a massive difference between I am a man in control of his impulses and I am on day 47. One is an identity that survives a setback, the other collapses the moment it fails. Progress is never a straight line. Expecting perfection on the first try or any try is not discipline, it's rigidity, and rigidity breaks. The man who relapses and gets back up the next day, without drama and without a shame spiral, is further ahead than the man who hit 90 days and treats it like he's done the work. You're not building a streak, you're building a man. Problem 3, the community can become a bubble that replaces real life. This one is uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. For some men, the NoFap community, the forums, the posts, the streak counters, the badges, becomes a social substitute. It gives them belonging, identity, validation. And that feels good, especially for men who feel isolated or purposeless. But here's the problem. Spending hours inside a community talking about what you're not doing, instead of going outside and building what you want, is still avoidance. Just with a self-improvement label on it. The goal of impulse control is to free up energy and attention for real life. Real relationships, real skills, real progress. If your NoFap practice is keeping you on a screen, in a forum debating streaks instead of living, you've traded one digital escape for another. Use the community as a tool, not as a home. So let's get to the real point. NoFap at its best is about one thing: proving to yourself that you are in control of your impulses, not the other way around. That's it, that's the whole lesson. And that lesson extends far beyond one habit. The man who masters his impulses in one area builds the neurological muscle to master them everywhere. Impulse to eat garbage, controlled. Impulse to skip the gym, controlled. Impulse to react emotionally, controlled. Impulse to spend money he doesn't have, controlled. That's what you're really training. Not a streak, not a number, not a badge. Self-mastery, the ability to choose your response over your reflex in every area of life. That is the actual prize, and it's worth far more than 90 days on a counter. So here's the dark side of NoFap that nobody talks about. 1. Removing a habit without replacing it creates a vacuum, and your brain will fill it. 2. Building your identity on a streak makes you fragile. One reset shouldn't break you. 3. The community can become a bubble that keeps you away from real life. 4. Perfection on the first try was never the point. Resilience is. NoFap is a tool, a powerful one. But a hammer doesn't build a house by itself. You still need a plan. You still need direction. You still need to replace the bad with something real and better. Remove the habit. Replace it with training, with creation, with growth. Fall down, get back up without the drama. Control your impulses, all of them, not just one. That's not NoFap, that's self-mastery. And self-mastery is the whole point. Like this video, if it gave you a different perspective. Subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll keep saying what others won't. You're not just quitting something. You're building someone. I'll see you at the top.